Hello, and welcome back to the Witch's Bedroom. I am starting a new series called Arcane Genius, where we talk about how tarot can not only protect but unlock the creative visionary that is just like bursting at the seams to unleash your creative genius on the world. So, thank you so much, Luna, for being here. I'm so happy to have you.
I'm so excited
Um,
to be here. Anytime that we can collab, it's a great day. So
I totally agree. I totally agree. I feel like you and I are like, if we were in a kind of book, we would be in like a Nancy Drew style mystery, a
yeah,
Scooby-Doo situation. We'd be
yeah,
like part of the sleuthing gang,
yeah. Us,
trying to
us
get
and
to the
Taylor
bottom
for
of
sure.
things. That's awesome. For people who have never come across your work before, tell me a little bit about what you do and why.
Sure, yeah. So I am known as Ale Sterling. I go by Luna or Alex, and I'm an author. So I wrote a book called Foresyth Conservatory. It's a magical murder mystery. So the way that I've been describing it is kind of like Sherlock Holmes meets practical magic or the craft. So I'm very motivated in like exploring characters that have like skepticism and are like kind of going through a magical transformation. So I wrote our main character, Dahlia Blackburn. She kind of gets um, inducted into this secret society where she's discovering a murder mystery, but she's also discovering about herself and kind of her belief systems and trying to unravel the root of it. So yeah, I'm a Gothic scholar. I have a PhD in engineering. Then
Whoa.
and then pivoted to creative writing, which has been my lifelong passion. I recently booted up my 20-year-old computer and found my old relics of my past writings, and I was like, yeah, I've always been who I am.
Oh my gosh. I think that's so true of so many people who I call it the Aquarian Renaissance, what we're in right now. And it's this
Yeah.
period where we have this ability to just create, like my laptop creation station. I'm currently in my Nana's art studio. And so it's like, I see so many people who right now are just so dedicated to following that spark that we've always had with us, right? Like you're saying, you've always been this writer. You've always been interested in these sorts of things, and I can definitely relate to that in my own way. And so I call it the Aquarian Renaissance. I don't think I'm the first person to say that, but it's all of us creatives who are using our unique kind of kooky, it's Aquarius, right? It's our individual site that nobody else could repeat in order to create something that is a rebirth. That's the definition of the word renaissance, is rebirth. And so right now we're in this great like visionary shift, and I love your work because in the stuff that I've read, like both in the parts of Foresyth that I've read, I haven't finished it yet, but I am reading it. And on your Substack, you always have this way of, I think, interpreting media and story arcs and development as a mode of exploring the world. And that's something that I really love about your process as your friend, but also as like a consumer of your content. You help me to connect these dots and to like think deeper. And I think that that's a direct relation from tarot. I remember you
Absolutely, yeah. I just thought about that. I was like connecting the dots. Yeah, that's tarot.
like you wrote a movie review about Obsession,
hmm
and I remember when we were
It got
talking
me a lot
about
of
it.
flack on the internet.
It's so good though. It's so good. I feel like that's the other thing. If you're a voice of the Aquarian Renaissance, you're going to get a little bit of pushback because you're
Yeah,
willing to
yeah.
challenge that status quo. But I remember when we were talking about it, I had said something about how the lens that you're looking at the movie through is the same lens that we use to interpret tarot cards, because you're looking at the symbology and the colors and the movement and the positions of the characters. And so I think in that way, I see this parallel between your desire to create, to share, to explain what you see in the world, and also the way that like tarot has directly impacted that. I'd love to learn like how did you start reading and how does it influence the work that you do? Because
Yeah,
on the front of the book, you have that card, like right there. So
yeah, it's
obviously, it's
right
like a
there.
central part of the story.
It's so central. Yeah, I mean, and it's also central to me. And for the longest time, I kind of suppressed that urge of exploring tarot, as, you know, maybe many can relate to, but I had all these like societal pressures, right? So like my dad was an engineer. I grew up being kind of taught that like, okay, you need to find a very stable career, like go do engineering. And so I was in that system of thinking that was, you know, kind of confined to certain narratives or certain expectations, and tarot didn't really fit in with that worldview.
Mm.
But also, it had always been on the periphery because my grandmother reads cards, and her grandmother read cards, so it's like a generational thing, and this kind of generational power that I tapped into like once a year when like during the start of the new year, that's when my grandma would read our cards. And that had always been our tradition in our family. But then as I was going through school, especially later on towards grad school, I, you know, started being in these serious relationships, started really like anchoring myself into adulthood. And I kept having these questions where like there wasn't an answer, you know? Like
Mhm.
in science and engineering, I feel like there was always an answer in the textbook, or, you know, like there's always something that I could point to say, like, oh, this is how we explain this. Or if not, like I can go do an experiment and find out. But for me, like, should I be with this person or should I move to this country? Like, there wasn't a right answer. And so that's when I felt like my pull towards tarot, because I was like, I even remember being in grad school, like passing by, like while I was driving, this like sign of like a psychic reader. And that's a whole story. I went in there and like it was a terrible experience. And I was like, okay, you know what? No, like I want to read for myself. Like yeah. So yeah, but I was like, man, and you know what was so funny? The reason why I ran out was because and now I'm a lot more flexible. Okay, but back then I was like, so she split the card. She was like, okay, like to read with a full deck, that's like the full price. To read with half of the deck, that's a half price.
Interesting.
And I was,
Weird.
I know, I was like, no, my grandma, again, I was a very engineering brain. I was like, my grandma always reads with a full deck. I need a full deck reading. And so she just like, that was suspicious to me. I was like, no, like, I need to do this on my own terms. So I like left her shop and was like, I'm going to go and read and learn how to read by myself. And
Wow.
yeah, that's my villain origin story for how I became a tarot reader.
Wow. I love that. I love that it's a multi-generational thing, right? Like there are these whispers of what how our ancestresses, our grandmothers and our great grandmothers related to intuition and this gift, and then how you were able to like marry it with this almost like I don't know, ability to achieve, right? Like you did the thing, you have the PhD, you went to school, you put all of this work in, and so you clearly were able to deeply understand the scientific process and make sense out of it. And so I love what you said about how you were like marrying this sort of ancestral tradition with that
Yeah.
analytical modern brain. Do you find that that influences the way that you read? Because it definitely influences the book.
You mean like the scientific background?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, I think there are levels of influences that I carry, right? And definitely like my scientific training is one of them. I think it makes me very like hypothesis oriented of like I have an idea and I'm testing it. And there's
Mm.
also like a certain level of distance that it provides. Like as a scientist, with some failures, you might not be able to maintain that distance. But that's kind of one of the pieces of it is like you just test it, and if it's wrong, you still collected that information, right? And so I
Mhm.
think Dolly in the book is also very much of that mind of like, okay, well, I have this hypothesis. Now let me say this one thing and see how they react. And then so it's a
Mhm.
constant like, you're constantly altering your course just very slightly based on new information.
Absolutely. In the class that we teach called the Bedroom Tarot Initiation, we define intuition as a culmination of all of your senses and all of your lived experiences put into context.
I love that.
So it's everything that you can feel, see, touch, smell, and everything that your body, your ancestral wisdom remembers
Yeah,
is the culmination
absolutely.
of like how we're able to interpret these really complex patterns. And I also do think that there's like magic to the cards. Like I approach the cards from an archetypal sort of Jungian
Oh, I also think
perspective.
there's magic to the cards for sure.
But I also know I didn't come into it from a scientific perspective. I actually came into it from the opposite way.
Hmm.
Like I grew up really witchy. I started talking to spirits at an extremely young age. I started working with the goddess when I was 9 after like a series of repeated dreams that were like very ritualistic. I've always been really into paganism, and like I have studied it for, a decade and a half. And so for me, the way that I initially came into it was through the spirit realm, through the mystical, the unknown, the sort of like Piscean elements of tarot. And it wasn't until really recently, I would say over the last 5 years, once I started studying like hypnotherapy and how the subconscious mind works, dream analysis,
Free
Carl Jung's
association.
work,
Yeah,
yes, especially comparative mythology and archetypes, all of
yeah.
these things, I started to connect my deep relationship with the spirit world to this more grounded scientific way of engaging with the cards. And I felt like it kind of bridged that gap where it went from mystical and almost like ineffable to grounded and mystical.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
both are true. I think I get a lot of um I get a lot of reward out of being able to combine those because you need both, right? You need the logical side, you need the structure and the order and the rules, but then you also need kind of this fluid piece, right? Maybe that we can't really explain because we don't have the tools or we don't have the knowledge yet, but we feel it in our bodies, like you were saying, with your
Mm.
senses. And our subconscious mind is so powerful, and there's so much information that we are collecting and gathering that we can't even vocalize into words, right? Because also
Mm.
words are a structure that we came up with, right? So it's we're confined. So I think marrying those two is really powerful, and I think can really deepen your practice as a creative individual, but also as a practitioner, so you can get the most out of it for yourself too.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. You're talking about the structure, and I wanted to talk about how do you use tarot in your everyday life? And is it something that you use more for personal reflection, or do you apply it to the work that you're doing with your writing?
Definitely both. I will say it definitely started as a crisis ritual, right?
I
Like,
think for
oh,
a lot of people, it starts with a breakup. Like
yeah,
a
yeah.
ton
It's
of
like, hey,
people.
well, okay, guys, I will tell you the shortcut. Yes, break up with him. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yes, you don't need the cards. You already know. It's just you're just trying to give yourself permission.
yeah,
Which, yeah, to me, the cards are like a permission slip in a lot of cases
totally.
because it's like it's a conversation I can have with myself, right?
Mm,
Without just like staring at the wall and hearing the voices and hearing, yeah, and speaking to them. But it's something that I can do with a tactile feeling and explore my senses and be embodied in that conversation. So I definitely use it like for personal matters, absolutely. But I have found myself starting to engage with it more in a structured kind of professional way, through this work that I've done with you as a tarot reader, but also as a reader for my audience. So I've started doing something. Well, before I tell you kind of those ritual practices, I will say like every character in the book is based on a tarot card.
I
Um,
didn't know that.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, wait, who is Dahlia?
Yeah. Well,
Have I
you'll have to
missed
find out.
something? Ah!
But that was my kind of organizing metaphor when I started writing, and I tried everything. I tried giving them like, different Chinese calendar years. I tried doing their astrology charts, but like nothing was like a cohesive anchor that I could be like, oh yes, I know this person's reaction. You know what I mean? The
Mm-hmm.
card was the perfect amount of structure and liberation to allow me to come up with a character construct that felt like, real, but also kind of predictable. That made them also
Mm.
real because humans are kind of predictable in that sense. So yeah, so that was the first kind of professional way that I used tarot in storytelling, was attributing or like picking a card for every character. And that worked phenomenally well because I think, and from feedback from readers, like, each character is distinct. Like, their voice, how they kind of would respond. So that I definitely recommend trying that out as a part of the writing process, and exploring those
Nice.
archetypes. But then also a little bit more, you know, um, a little fun ritual that I do sometimes, like when I was stuck, like when I was in a plot hole, or like, okay, now I'm at a decision point. Sometimes I would like pick cards from the point of view of my characters. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, okay, Aspen, like I know he's sly and mischievous. So like I'm gonna pick his cards and be like, okay, how would he interpret the spread, right? And how would
Mm-hmm.
that influence what he's going to do next? And so that's a way of like keeping, I don't want to say like randomness because it sounds random, but it's a deeper thought process than kind of the cliche first idea that you have, right? Because a lot of times the first idea that comes to mind, like, oh no, there's like a giant cyborg after me, let me shoot him, right? Or whatever. Like, that's the cliched response of like, okay, let me directly engage and whatever. But if we do tarot and we're accessing these like subconscious like pathways in our mind, we can like deepen those opportunities of saying like, oh no, actually there's like a trap door and that leads somewhere else. And you know what I mean? Where like you can
Yeah.
start exploring like alternative paths that are not just the like first association that you have.
I love that. I love that. I love that, especially because right now I'm focusing all of my one-on-one work with working with visionaries who are manifesting something that maybe hasn't been done before. And so when you're in that territory, the people that I'm working with, like, they don't have a clear next step always. And
Yeah.
also, I think that people are so quick to go to like the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And when I pull tarot inside of these coaching sessions, it really helps to be like, okay, well, this is what you think is going to happen because it's like maybe the most typical, but we are living in an atypical time and atypical magic is our friend. So,
Right.
what is this path and what is this path that you hadn't even considered before? And I love that tarot makes it so that you're able to approach things with options instead of having like one
Absolutely.
definitive
Yeah.
line. It's like you said, it's going to jump a little bit, like they're going to surprise you. And so I see how in your process it made it so that you were able to be even more creative and resourceful, and I see how with my clients it's making it so that they're able to be really creative and resourceful as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. No, that's so cool that we use it kind of similarly, but me for like fictional scenarios, but you can use it for real scenarios too, and that's just the power of it.
Absolutely. Are there any other writers' rituals? They don't have to be exclusively tarot that you do to get in the zone. I feel like that's sometimes the biggest challenge for people is getting into the energy and finishing something, and you do both of those things. So how did you do it?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, there are definitely moments where I'm stuck and I just feel the well is dried up. I think two things are kind of my go-to. The first one is like going for a walk, which
Mm.
I've heard this advice before, but then I started doing it. I'm like, oh my God, this actually works. Walking or driving, but we're somewhere where like, you know what I mean? Like I'm doing something, but my mind is kind of free to relax and drift and go elsewhere.
Hmm.
I also, my friends make fun of me for this, but sometimes I'll like raw dog a flight.
Hmm.
And I just like, I won't listen to music. I won't watch anything. I won't read anything. I'll just stare straight ahead like a
I do that
psychopath
too.
for
I
two
do that too.
hours. And I love it. It's so
Yeah.
good. I've gotten like entire books like written in my head from doing that. But again, it's just like sometimes you need that permission, especially for like
Mm.
high achievers like us. Like it's so hard to kind of let go and take yourself out of that production mode and let like your muse start talking. So I find where when I can control my corporal body somehow or confine it in a way that's safe, then I can let my mind kind of go. And then my second one, I mean, I'm so inspired by like the world around us, you know, like
Mm.
for better or for worse, right? Like in good ways and in bad ways. But I really have so much respect for creators of the past and of the present and future. But I just find myself drifting back to the voices that you know, that I'm really inspired by. And I get so inspired when I'm reading and interacting with other people's art forms. So even if it's an art form outside of myself, right? Like going to your gallery exhibit, like that was inspirational to me. It doesn't have to be writing. It just has to be like interacting with the world in an authentic, experiential way.
That's awesome. I totally agree with that. Who are some of those influences that
Oh
you
my
look up
gosh.
to?
Angela Carter, for sure. She wrote The Bloody Chamber.
Mm.
It's like a short story collection of like feminist retellings of fairy tales, but they're dark. They're so dark, and I love them. And she just has an amazing voice. Just, my gosh, I like underline every sentence that I read from her. Like, I'm obsessed. More contemporary, I've actually been enjoying reading Ava Reed's books. I love their writing style. It's also like very dark academia fantasy, which is kind of where I'm going in with my writing. So I really enjoyed that. But you know, also I'm such a big like lover of the classics too. I'll just
Mm.
always go back to those. I have my yearly reread of Dracula, so.
And recently you were rereading Moby Dick. And I was just like, that's so A.L. Sterling of
Actually,
me.
I
Like you
had
walk the
never read
walk.
Moby Dick, and the
Oh,
reason because
really?
I had never read it because like it was so overhyped. I was like, oh my gosh, like everybody tells me it's a good book, and like anyway, I'm very countercultural in that way. But I was like, oh no, okay, I'm writing a C Gothic. I need to read this book, and then I started reading it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, actually, this is a banger. So.
What do
I
you think makes it stand the test of time like that?
I mean, I think it's authentic. I think it ha and this is the thing for me with art. I think it just has to be vulnerable. Like you have to be
Mm.
scared. You know, you have to be like, "Oh my
Mm.
God, you're shining a shylight, a flashlight when I where I don't want it to be shown." And so I think, you know, Moby Dick and some of these other ones that I've mentioned are like they're just vulnerable. They're like, yeah, this is the human experience and it sucks, right? And yet
Mm.
there is still this human spirit that seeks to be alive and seeks agency. And yeah, I find that, you know, really, really powerful when I connect with a writer's voice and I kind of see them in it. Like I see a real human there. It's not this like generic kind of narrative, but it's so specific. So I think that's me.
Mm. I think what's interesting that I hear you getting at in that is this universal experience, which when people are like, how does tarot work? It's not because you got a random one out of 72 cards and it resonated with you. It's that at some point in your life, every single one of us is every single one of those cards.
Yeah.
And so when we look at classic stories that really speak to the heart of things, I think that it speaks to a deeper philosophical and almost like spiritual truth of this shared reality, of this shared experience. And that's why archetypal work, whether it's in coaching or your creative writing, is so powerful, because when we access these archetypes, we're not just living in 2026, we're able to live in the future and in the past and retain wisdom from these characters that have been at play a lot longer than
Yes.
we have been engaging with them. And I think that that's really what makes work transcendent in a way, is that it takes this human experience that's shared and it shines such a light on it that it doesn't make it an unreachable, this happens to this one person. Instead, it makes it so human and so real that even if you've never been a tarot reader working at a bookstore initiated into a mystery school, you're still gonna be able to be like, I have also had to like solve the mystery of my dead loved one. I also have
Yeah.
had to like make friends with people who scared me. I've also had to do all of these things. And so it's like when you write something that is somehow so personal, I think it becomes universal.
I love that. That's a bar. No, that's great. I mean, it's so true though, right? I mean, my greatest desire, right? And I think a lot of people feel this way, but it's to be like authentically perceived, right? And I think I get that from reading for sure. And I also get it from writing and from other people resonating with those stories. I think it's a fundamental human desire to see yourself in others and to be witnessed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, this has been just really, really delightful. I feel like I received a lot from this message, and I know that your work resonates so deeply with so many people. So I'm just really excited for this opportunity to have this conversation with you. And every conversation, I feel like every time we talk, my brain is like buzzing right after because it gets a little bit bigger every time.
Well, I'm just glad that we are on the same planet at the same time too. So
Absolutely.
we are
Totally agree.
contemporaries, as they might say.
Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, we're contemporaries. We're contemporary voices of the Aquarian Renaissance. And you know what? You, my friend, who are watching, so are you. So a great way to keep up with Luna is to check out her Substack,
You can
which
find it through A.L. Sterling Substack or searching Gothic University.
awesome. Gothic University, shout out, so cool. And if you are kind of newer on your journey with working with tarot and you're wanting to get a deeper relationship to it, really connect to it so you can unlock your own creative energy so that you can really like still all of this outside noise and just get to your own sense of clarity, I have a free ritual bundle that you can download in the description below, which is a handful of all of the best rituals that we've done in the witch's bedroom to cleanse your tarot deck, connect with your tarot deck, and start reading for yourself every day in a way that feels like actually meaningful instead of nebulous and occult and ephemeral. Definitely check that out. And I also have applications open right now for some really exclusive one-on-one spots to work with me on manifesting your creative project. So if you are an author, a musician, an artist who is looking for somebody to help tend the altar of your creative vision through like spiritual guidance, but also practical business advice and helping you expand that vision so that you're actually able to help the people that you came here to help, definitely fill out that application and let's see if we are a good fit for each other. And we have one more really exciting announcement. Luna, do you want to tell them?
Yes, absolutely. So Wisteria and I will both be at the fantasy ball at Burning Pages this Halloween, October 31st. I believe it's a Gothic fantasy ball. So definitely bring out all of your black attire. I think they have like different courts too that you could be a part of. It's going to be an epic night. So definitely check that out. It's in Wilmington, North Carolina. Definitely worth the trip.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you next time for our next episode of Arcane Genius. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Love you. Bye.